Welcome to Rants and Reels. Tonight, we are going to talk about Toy Story 4.
You're kidding me. He said that? To your face?
To my face.
And then what happened?
So I get real close, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care which Cabbage Patch you're from, kid. Give me back my Viewmaster before I knock the dimples off your face.
Oh!
Okay.
No, you didn't. You don't even care, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you are a I don't care bear. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man.
Oh, Ducky.
Yeah.
You see the new movie trailer?
For what?
You ain't see it?
See what? What is it, buddy?
Ducky.
What?
They're making another Toy Story movie.
No! I thought those movies were done, dog. They made 3 movies.
They did make 3 movies. This is number 4.
Oh, shoot! Come on! I love the Toy Story, dog.
Toy Story is my jam.
What about Buzz Lightyear's, dog?
I am Buzz Lightyear, Space Ranger.
And then Woody's like, you are a toy!
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Woody.
Do the flying thing he does. Do it.
Oh, to infinity and your mom.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That's not right.
You sure?
No, that's not right.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
No, let me show you. To insanity and a blonde.
What do you even
That's how it goes.
saying?
No, that's how it goes.
To immunity and respond.
To indecency
To
and...
infrequently.
Hey, guys, you got it all wrong.
It's to infinity and beyond.
That's the stupidest thing I've
You
heard.
can't go to infinity, dummy. It's impossible.
He over here talking about
You're
infinity.
gonna go beyond infinity.
You don't know nothing about science.
Toy Story 4 is a fantastic addition and hopefully a beautiful conclusion to this story. I say hopefully because it was left at such a fantastic endpoint. I don't know where else the story could go. It's a terrific way to wrap up the journey of these characters, even though they're toys. In a lot of ways, this 4th film is really the culmination of 25 years. Well, it's not quite. If you go by production, yeah, it's probably still about 25 years of work. Not only in developing new animation techniques, but storytelling, directing, some of the most innovative filmmaking that exists today. The story in film itself is very touching and moving, but not quite in the same nostalgic ways that the first 3. Not in the same way the first 3 films were. It's still they're still tugging on the heartstrings, but it is very different. It is not as much that tugging of friendship and nostalgia, but it's really hard to put into words. It's going to require a little more thought. You know what? This whole review is going to require a little more thought.
All right. What was I saying? Okay. The reason I think that this film feels emotionally different comes down to some differences in the characters and the way those character arcs played out. While we saw growth and development in the past 3 films, it was usually just 2-dimensional growth. The place they ended in their journey is almost identical to where they started. They learned a few things along the way, but that's about it. In Toy Story 4, the arcs that these characters take, they end somewhere completely different than where they began. It's not two-dimensional growth. It's fully fleshed out, even though they're toys, but fully fleshed out growth. They didn't just learn something, they fundamentally changed. And they fundamentally changed in such a human way that it was very easy to connect with them. It was very, very easy to connect with them. Without getting into specifics. So, sorry that's vague. But I think you deserve to see this and experience that journey without it being ruined. So, I'm not going to be that guy. Now, let's talk about the new character. Let's talk about Forky. Oh my god, I love this new character. He is unbelievably charming and hilarious. The idea is so out of the box. The fact that throughout the film he is struggling to understand his own identity and what he is. He begins his journey believing he is trash, because that's what he is. He is a spork. He came out of the trash. That's kind of the hilarious journey he goes on, learning that he's not a piece of trash. Now he's a toy. So yeah, he's fundamentally different at the end than he was at the beginning. Now I think the last thing I really want to talk about, I mean, there's a lot I really want to talk about, but again, this is a journey that everybody should go on. You see it for yourselves. One of the last things I want to talk about is just the unbelievable growth in animation. If you look at some of the photorealistic textures and light mapping and just the way the entire environment is set up and rendered, it's really, really breathtaking. Especially if you look at two shots, one from Toy Story 4 and one from the 1995 Toy Story. If you look at those side by side, it is night and day how far that animation has come, and in very subtle ways too. They kept the character designs so true to their origin that the changes are not extremely obvious in them. You'll see more texture in their clothing, but the majority of it is the way the environment is lit, the way the ambient lighting shows up. Bo Peep, for example. Bo Peep, her texturing in the first Toy Story film, even the second Toy Story film, was very flat. She looked plastic, but all of them did. But they were kind of supposed to look plastic. In this film, in Toy Story 4, she looks obviously porcelain. And that is really hard to do. She has a completely different reflective value than Woody does. And her clothing has a completely different reflective value in the first Toy Story. Her clothing pretty much looked had the same kind of flat reflection that everybody else did. I find it really hard to describe because I'm not a graphics designer. I can recognize these things, but I don't have the toolbox to describe these things. So I'm sorry about that. But you'll just have to go. You'll just have to go see it for yourselves. The last thing I really want to say is this is a unique. Well, it's a unique year, the last couple years, because we're seeing a lot of these old franchises kind of come back from childhood. So you have films that started, 25, 30 years ago, and we're seeing either a continuation or a new chapter or a reboot, a restart. We're seeing something very new come from something very old. That can be difficult to grapple with sometimes, but for the most part, it is phenomenal. Because I can take my kids to go see Toy Story 4, and they know Toy Story 3, because that was one of the first films that they saw as children in a theater. They've grown up with these films, and in many ways, I grew up with Toy Story. The first film came out in theaters when I was 15 years old. It's really a remarkable time, not just to be a fan of film and film history, but to be a parent. And you can go see a film that just came out from a series that started when you were the same age as your children. It's kind of incredible. But that's Toy Story 4. It is, I think, absolutely phenomenal and touching and moving in all the right ways. And I can't recommend going to see it enough. Thank you for watching. This is Rants and Reels. Have a good night, everybody.